$2.50 a share, presuming an acquisition goes through. Because here's the fun part. All right. The fun part of all of this is that Cleveland-Cliffs and U.S. Steel merging is incredibly difficult from an antitrust standpoint. All right? Specifically anti-consumer. Combined, these two would have over 50% of the automotive market, the U.S. automotive market. All right? They would have well over 50% of the carbon plate market. All right? What I think is a shockingly big deal is, wouldn't they have 100% of the U.S. produced electrical steel? In fact, isn't that the reason why this is trying to go through? Yeah, I was going to say S-Mart. You think of S-Mart from Evil Dead? Yeah. Like, my understanding, like, my bet on this is a play on electrical steel. Right now, Cleveland-Cliffs has the majority of U.S. produced electric steel, which they are trying to stop other countries from dumping. The only other competitor was U.S. Steel, who was moving into producing electric steel. Yep. Grain-oriented and non-grain-oriented electrical steel. Which is very important for the electrification, everything from windmills, turbines, transformers, and EVs. This is going to be a fascinating one. I hope it's Cleveland-Cliffs and U.S. Steel, and I hope this goes in front of a review, because seriously, guys, this is a lot more difficult, quite frankly, than Microsoft trying to acquire Activision, where the fact the union is behind it means this is incredibly powerful specifically for steel workers. This is incredibly bad for automakers. Imagine this. And that's why someone said, you bet, Vito is happy about this news. And I commented, I'm like, I bet you he's pissed. Vito basically runs a service center. He buys steel from steel mills. The amount of customers to sell him steel just got cut down. It's really fascinating. So this could also produce union versus union, where U.S. steel workers are in support of this. But if you're an automotive producer, the outcome of this is steel for automotive applications gets more expensive. B-Hood, this is not the LG pop. A second offer came in, S-Mark. A second offer is coming now. And Bitaska says, Biden Dems being pro-union doesn't have any effect. We're going to find out. Because if the FTC, if Lena Khan and friends are just about ideological, meaning like antitrust purity, they're going to challenge this deal. If they are just shills for the Democratic Party and Democratic interests, okay, and unions, I don't know if they challenge it. But it could get interesting, though, B-Hood. This is what you want to keep your eye on. What does UAW say? Do we see union-on-union violence? Does it matter the fact that Cleveland-Cliffs has a UAW population that already works for them? Ed Manicus, antitrust died 40 years ago. Tell that to NVIDIA. And because Lena is anti-tech, not anti-competitive. I've heard that viewpoint before. I don't even disagree. So yeah, this one should absolutely inspire antitrust. Lorenzo had a good comment about it, by the way, which was, our competition is not just American steel, it's foreign steel, and it's also alternative metals. And he might be right about that. Because if you just say how much automotive steel is provided, it's over 50%. That should trigger regulatory review. But if you say, compared to the global supply of automotive steel, it's probably much, much smaller. Because China and Korea and Japan are 1, 2, and 3. So yeah. Fascinating. Very, very fascinating. It'll be exciting to see. Mr. Gonzalez is always right. Yeah. It is though a reminder, guys, of where do we think we are in the business cycle? Because now we're at the point of seeing consolidations. We're seeing a lot more mergers and acquisitions being launched. I'll give you a hint. If you think the whole market's expensive, why are companies and private equity groups trying to step in to buy other companies, right? Just keep that in mind. So what I would pay attention to in particular is see if UAW puts out any statements on this. United Auto Workers, this is their chance to step up and help out the automotive companies and their own interests. Yeah, Mo says, do you know who that should be good for? Investment banks. And who's number one, Mo? Because now we can talk about another interesting story. Pelosi doesn't buy U.S. steel calls. They're not based in California. Guys, over the weekend, there's so many different articles now coming out about Goldman Sachs. Vampire Squid. This is their CEO, DJ Diesel, or as people inside were apparently calling him, BJ Diesel, because at one point he said during a meeting, hey, did anyone get a blowjob last night? Well, I did. Good for you. All right. There are hit pieces now coming out. People at Goldman Sachs are speaking publicly about their boss. It's not good for Diesel. Very, very not good for Diesel. Full disclosure, I currently have no position in Goldman Sachs. None. I want to get one. To me, an interesting bull case is if they fire DJ Diesel. I'm a hater. Spencer, isn't Morgan Stanley eating Goldman Sachs lunch? I do not believe so. The problem Goldman Sachs has faced is that this is the worst market for mergers and acquisitions and investment banking basically ever. SPACs shut down, IPOs shut down. Mergers and acquisitions for the last year have been mostly dead. Now they're starting to ramp up, and that's the number one market Goldman Sachs plays in. Meanwhile, they focused on getting into consumer credit. That was not a good idea. They took on the Apple deal, forgetting that no one makes an initial deal with Apple and succeeds except for Apple. Liquidity. What's about the TMFRT? What's that acronym? Sorry. That the if that's the lady that was like, they aren't real, like, no, I don't want to talk about her. Because now she's getting recommended to me on Twitter, and I feel like this is non-consensual. I have not given consent. Laughs in TSMC, yeah. There was an interesting report, and again, like, even Ming Chi had come out last week and said, like, and we talked about it specifically. People were talking about the deal Apple signed with TSMC, where TSMC was going to absorb the cost of all the bad dies. Ming Chi Kuo said, this is literally nothing new. Apple always has this deal with TSMC because every time they basically launch on the new process node, Apple gets all of the supply. And it normalizes, it gets back to normal simply because TSMC improves yields every time. Liquidity, okay, fair, but wood. Fair enough. God damn, Nvidia's just been fucking all day long. Thank Morgan Stanley for that one. Thank Morgan Stanley. Any plays that I'm looking at this week? I want to keep eyes on Palo Alto, Applied Materials. AMAT's got earnings this week. AMAT should do well. AMAT should do well. Problem is, everyone should know this. It should not be a surprise. Reminder, both KLA and Lam Research did very well on their earnings. Applied should also do well. I'll go over Micron in a second. I'll be honest, I don't fucking fully know why Micron's mooning. I assume tonight I'll read some like research note that was put out that I'm not aware of right now. In fact, let me see if I can find. It cannot be the NVIDIA argument. At least it shouldn't be. This guy's a moron. Try to log. I actually had shares. They got stop lossed out. I moved up my stop loss earlier. I just checked before I went downstairs. Yeah, so. I had shares. They got stopped out. Super cool business, by the way. Applied is a really, really, really cool business. If you do not know what they do, they are the Walmart for semiconductor equipment. They're the largest by revenue. They're actually larger than ASML. ASML is a much bigger company in market cap because it focuses on one thing and has a monopoly: lithography. Applied makes nothing for lithography, but they make tools for every other step in the manufacturing process. You want to do etch, you want to do deposition, you want to do process control, you want to do cleaning, metrology, okay, masks. AMAT does it all. Oh, really quickly. So here's a person on Twitter who says, Micron is up 5% on no news. I guarantee you there's something, we just don't know what it is. Says, Micron's revenue is down 56% year over year. Micron's net profit margin is negative. Stock market is in a massive bubble. Micron can go bankrupt. Micron will absolutely not go bankrupt. No. Unless the world decides they don't need memory ever again. Still waiting on onsemi. Like, I won't invest in memory, but yeah. Thank you, Primo. Micron is just cyclical. Extraordinarily cyclical. One of the most punishing cycles has got to be memory cycle. Like, what other commodities are just that insane, right? Yeah, speaking of... Hold on. Mo says, you mean any company could go bankrupt, so technically... Correct. Agreed. Boromir, do you think it'll drop into the 80s? Which stock? AMAT? AMAT's not going towards the 80s unless there's like a nuclear bomb that hits. I assume. Great, you can see the semiconductor equipment. Oh, on semi, got it. Give me 1 second. I like how you can see like the semiconductor equipment like cycle play out, showing that 2020 was just a shock, down cycle, now going back up. Funny thing is they're front running this. We still haven't seen memory producers get anything close to normal capex, and everyone's gotta know it. All right. Right now, their EPS for next year, if you believe the fine folks at FinViz, they are telling you this company makes $7 a share. Of that $7 a share, a very, very, very small portion right now built in is from memory. Any increase or upswing in memory capex is 100% upside now for both Lam and Micron. In fact, their earnings should have been lower, but China keeps ordering equipment for lagging edge. That's the only thing that's actually saving them right now. Mo, scenario, nuclear bomb hits, people screaming and dying, people in here. Cool, Nvidia's finally cheap again. Let's check out onsemi. Come live. Ian, you're about to buy Micron? Yeah. When Promo buys Micron, I have to jump in. That's my sign. That's my sign. By the way, if I'm buying a memory producer, I'd rather buy SK Hynix. Promo, the front running is so extreme in a lot of these semi companies. That's literally how they work. You'd be worried about a sell the news event on a great earnings at some point. Yep. Welcome. Look, I mean, let's go back to 2022. All right. Reminder, Qualcomm dropped all throughout 2022. Up until their last earnings of that year, they kept beating and raising. Somewhere around like June, July, or August, they literally had their best quarter on record. Did not guide down either. But the semiconductor cycle, everyone saw it was coming. Same thing happened with AMD. It's brutal. Brutal. Semiconductor investing is you buy ahead of the time, ahead of the bottom, because they move in anticipation. That's why people keep trying to get ahead on Qualcomm, myself included. Memory will be the same exact case. Didn't it go to like 110% of book? So 1.1 book, I think, which was, I believe, higher than usual for the cycle, right? Yeah, trial historical price to book, yeah. The interesting thing, Promo, is I wonder if we've seen consolidation of other memory providers, and that's been impactful. I don't know. $1.2 book was close enough to historical trough. Yeah, we would have wanted the perfectly bottom ticket, right? Yeah, I assume the vast majority of these semiconductor companies have already bottomed, by the way. God, Qualcomm's a bitch. Every previous cycle, it bottomed below 1 times book. Interesting. I remember seeing people on FinTwit from the semicircle talking, I think 1.1 was the area to go. I don't remember it being specifically below book, but it could have been. By the way, guys, the reason, for anyone wonder why we're talking about book value is if you tried to basically rebuild the firm from scratch. And that's the thing. It's such a commodity, memory. You need it for your everyday life. If you didn't have Micron, you'd have to create a version, right? That's how much it costs to basically create. It's not PE that should drive their valuation, particularly in down cycles. You switch to book value. What's up, Archie? What do you want? What do you want me for? Chem Life, now it's at 1.6 times book. What is it? What's its cycle high usually go to? On the last 12 months, got it. What's the usual like cycle high? Glup, air at a good buy point? I have no clue. I have no position in air. I want to see it get cheaper. I want to see it get cheaper. I mean, apparently every morning is a good time to buy. Chem Life above 3 times, got it. Peak was 3.5 times book at 2014. Oof. Imagine if it pulled that shit. Give me. Over to me. Me. He's smelly, so tonight he gets a bath. Oh, you are smelly. Oh, it's bath time for you tonight. You can get cleaned up. Chem Life. 11 times book in 2000. Holy shit. Ewok is back, yes. Yeah, Dry Day Dog. Just the idea that antitrust, U.S. Steel being acquired by Cleveland Cliffs should be a big deal. The big weapon in his back pocket, though, is the unions. Unions will matter on this one. It'll be interesting to see how the FTC handles it. Also, I didn't mention it before. Two other quick things. Cleveland Cliffs acquiring U.S. Steel. The two real big questions should actually be this. What do they do with their European location? For those of you that do not know, U.S. Steel, about 20% of their revenue comes from their European operations. European operations. Lorenzo said it. Europe sucks. Does that mean the deal has to get signed off by European regulators? Could very likely mean. And for people saying they'll just spin it off, it's not that easy. We'll comment on that at some other point. But having worked for a multinational corporation with a European presence, sometimes it's hard to divest yourself of European operations. Like, government has to sign off on it, which means sometimes you're stuck running businesses you don't want to run. You can look at examples of like French, the French aluminum sector. Promo. Interestingly, the peak book value has decreased every cycle and trough book value has increased. I wonder if that's something to do with the depreciation of the tools specifically. Also, Micron, before this most recent cycle, Micron was pretty well known for underinvesting in, shall we say, CapEx. And they got caught flat-footed and had to increase their CapEx specifically for EUV tools. Frozen Walkway says, France seems to be a horrible place for business. Great place for research, I'll say that much. All right, what we're looking at, promo. Why is this taking its dear? There we go. Should be back. So yeah, whenever it cuts out, I can immediately restart, and it works. Promo crashed me, yeah. Any news on market on close? Nope. We get the real one in about 3 minutes. $202 million to the sell side? Blech. Small. It only matters, guys. It only matters when it's 1 billion or more to the sell side. By the way, earnings tonight we don't care about. Sorry, Suncor fans. We don't give a shit about them. All right. Rumble's up tonight. How do they look? I assume like shit. Promo, you were going to buy Micron the high 50s when Samsung... Yeah. Samsung was the laggard this cycle. Samsung was the laggard. The memory company I would totally buy right now, by the way, is SK Hynix. SK Hynix is doing everything right. Hard not to like them. Any thoughts on Home Depot? I like Home Depot. They already pre-announced. Or at least they've given some guidance. I want to see how the market treats them. I want to see how the market treats these guys. Home Depot is basically guiding to, I think this full year was going to be slightly down from last year. They hit all-time highs in sales, profits, EPS, etc. in this last year. So we know it's, quote, down year over year. Housing market continues to be strong, particularly new constructions. Home Depot, I hope, drops. This is a longer-term company I actually kind of like. COVID was good for them, yeah, but now home building, home construction's really good for them. Really good for them. They were definitely a COVID beneficiary. Definitely. But long-term, this is a really good company. There's a lot of people pointing out management's done a very good job. They've optimized well. Tim says they need to start closing stores. They may want to. They don't need to. I mean, right now, yet if you believe the numbers, they're trading at 20 times forward PE. That's not bad. That's not bad. Above market multiple, yes. 2.5% dividend. All right, it's consumer cyclical. That's fine. Active buyback program. So they've got good capital returns. They're still growing. They're still growing. Jay Skilling, do I have any positions in Marvell? No. Marvell now suffers from the trap, why buy them when Broadcom's cheaper? Doozy, so Burry bought his puts in Q2. Is it possible to sell before you have to report? Absolutely. Yeah, he could have sold it yesterday. He could have sold it July 1st. He could have sold it August 1st. Yes. Promo, we didn't see a reason why Micron is up. I assume tonight we'll finally see some note that was passed around, which gave people an indication, but yeah. Promo, 20 times not bad for a staple, but you probably aren't going to get much alpha buying here. Yo, you'll get the, you get their capital returns, and you get the fact that this is actually a company that's growing. Just not much. All chips strong, not Qualcomm. Yeah, chips being strong, but originally, Wendy, like Micron was the first one that was significantly green today. Correlated trade, that could make sense. That could. Yeah, I assume it was the NVIDIA note from Morgan Stanley, but I don't know if that drove Micron at all. The math last stream, it's 48 times forward PE. Is there a reason for non-GAAP? I don't think there is a reason for non-GAAP versus GAAP. I think the only difference between the two in the reconciliation was there was a small amount of stock-based compensation, but they're not nuts. Either way, the numbers that now ThinViz is showing, ThinViz has them at $1.50. And I think they were supposed to be at what, roughly $1? So they got them at $1.50. If that's the case, this PEG ratio is very, very off. Their PEG ratio is well underneath 1. Because you'd be talking about roughly a 90 to 100% growth year over year on EPS. Like, yeah. Yeah. With Air, you're buying a growth stock. Remember, compared to a lot of other tech companies, a lot of the tech companies, a lot of the semiconductor companies tend to be a little bit more on the value side, not NVIDIA, not Wolfspeed. And Bitaska, air short interest has dropped from 30% to 19%. Is that good or bad? Bad if you're a fan of air. You want higher short interest because those fuckers get squeezed out, and that's when you get those 20% days. Doozy, have I heard anything about a Russian digital gold currency? No. I know there's some rumors going around about it. Apparently, some Russian official, they announced a plan to buy gold with rubles, not that they were doing a gold-backed currency. And the reason why they're not doing a gold-backed currency is every Russian citizen would immediately take their rubles and convert it to gold. So they're offering to buy for a certain amount. It's not the same thing as a, quote, gold-backed currency. A true gold-backed currency means at any given point, you could show up at a bank, take your note, your bill, give it to the person, and get gold. Russia's not doing that. You watch the CEO of Home Depot talk about the massive losses Home Depot's taking from shoplifting. Thinking wood chipper just a few shoplifters. Ooh, that might stop the bleeding. Not wrong. Yeah, Wendy calling out Intel super strong. Yep. Tesla actually recovered a bit from earlier on. Tesla was down because they dropped the price of their cars in China. Someone say, Money, you just saw something about Netflix getting into cloud gaming streaming as a test. Thoughts on the space? I wouldn't like it. I don't understand it. Yeah, price drops clearly bullish, right? Clearly. The panel saw HD as in the back could be an interesting shoplifter punishment. MB Tosca, dumb question. Negative 36% day for AMC. Does DRSing shares screw the apes? I think so. I think so. I don't think they're able to sell that quickly. You're long Tesla here? What's their valuation right now? They've been valued worse. Now, are you pretty sure the ruble has been gold-backed, exchangeable for gold since the invasion? Has it really? They have fixed the value of the ruble to gold, but it's not translatable, right? Because that's the actual important part. Okay. Yeah, it's not the same thing. It's like at least when the US and like even the Brits, when they had their currencies backed by, this is pegged, not backed, I guess is the better term to use economic terms here. So they're basically saying the fluctuations of gold can result in fluctuations of the ruble caused by their willingness to buy gold for a certain amount of rubles on the market. That's fine. But they're not allowing people to exchange notes for gold. And that's important. You know, Russia had to peg it. Someone say money. Bonds probably return more than Intel over 20 years. I don't know about that. I'm optimistic. I think Intel will do well as a business. I want to believe. I want to believe. Intel, though, if Intel is a cat, it's lost about 7 of its lives already. It does not have a lot of fuck ups left. It really doesn't. Particularly if Japan's startup Rapidus does get into leading edge manufacturing, Intel's does not have a lot of leeway to fuck up. Check the map. AMAT's doing well. Nvidia's now up 7% on the day. Just so strong. So very strong. You love to see it. All right, guys. We're closing in at the end of the day. Look at us go. Look at us go. Looks like the Bulls are going to win today. Will we go 448? Can we do 448? We're 448. We're at 448. All right, time. Well played, friends. We ended well over 447. Bulls win. It's been a while. It's been a while for the Bulls to win. Well played, well played, well played. Cream of some young guy. Who's my favorite president? That's a long one. I mean, for all the presidents that I've been able to be alive during, sorry, I'm a Clinton fan. Shut up, someone say money. Hoover, for reasons. Shut up. Mo, my points are not useless. You just love to collect them. So apparently people are pointing out that in AMC's 8K that was released, they, as soon as possible, will release 25 million shares. So they will immediately dilute by 25 million. Interjector, McCain probably would have been a decent president. I agree with that. I agree with that. What the fuck is that? Windy, AMC might be a buy once they dilute. Yeah, when you know they're done diluting, probably. Like this. Rip to all the Michael Burry wannabes full porting QQQ puts because they think that's what he did today. Okay, here's Deutsche Bank. Palo Alto into earnings. Ahead of Friday's unusually timed investor event where the company will report Q4 results and lay out its medium-term plan, we contemplate what we think will ultimately be a positive catalyst. The knee-jerk reaction to announcing a summer Friday post-close event was negative, with the stock since underperforming the IGV, which is the ETF, by 8%. And Fortinet's disappointment on August 3rd only exasperated the situation. As industry exits a pandemic-fueled product supercycle the past couple years, we look to Palo's leadership in defining what comes next. We believe this event is far more about the future than the past, though we actually think fiscal fourth quarter finished okay. And herein we contemplate what investors can expect at the upcoming event. Bottom line, we think Friday could very well be the day Palo Alto Networks announces it will no longer sell hardware. We reflect back on a similar investor event that Palo Alto hosted in September 2019, which prompted speculation about a possible subscription model transition and duration compression of the company's cash flows. The event turned out to be a positive catalyst, with the company laying out a compelling vision for next-gen security and establishing medium and long-range targets that exceeded expectations. It ended up being far less radical than many expected. And on the subject of a wholesale subscription model transition, CEO Nikesh Arora at the time stated, no hardware company this size has made a transition like this. But hopefully, we just need to keep growing and not make the transition. Grown it has, and since then, the company has instead slowly transitioned, diversifying its mix well beyond the hardware firewall, engaging in more subscription-like ELA, ESA relationships with large strategic customers, investing in innovations like AI-powered XSIAM, and leveraging CSP relationships for product and go-to-market. The stock has outperformed the IGV by 170% since the 2019 event. But now, 4 years later, and at nearly 2.5 times the scale, we believe more meaningful change could be afoot. Just a dream. Someone definitely leaked NVIDIA's FT story today. What's that? What happened with NVIDIA? Because I assume they were up on the Morgan Stanley note. There's no interesting earnings. There's zero interesting earnings. Someone say money. What's this from Delta One? Saudi Arabia and the UAE are buying up thousands of high-performance NVIDIA chips crucial for building artificial intelligence. Okay. Like, all right. Does it matter? I mean, their pipeline's booked for the next 3 quarters. Like, right? Yeah. Doozy, you're interested in the Kava ER? Is the Kava earnings tonight? Microsoft is introducing Clippy AI. Oh, that would be good. There's Curie. I don't care. I don't care about earnings tonight, guys. The earnings that should matter. Home Depot. C tomorrow's interesting. On Cardinal Health. Tencent could be interesting. PaySafe could also be interesting. Kava's tomorrow. Okay. Yeah, there it is. Big fucking letters. Suspicious pick. Come on, guys. Surely we can raise enough for a $36 a share offer for a US deal. Captain Z Solo, you're ready for HD dip buy? That would be interesting to see if that happens. Short Target, long Walmart because dying middle class. I don't fully disagree with that. Problem is, Target is so cheap right now. I just don't trust their management. Walmart has been doing very, very well. Very well. I know people are going to point, oh, their price. I don't care. Valuation-wise, Walmart's not disgustingly valued. At least if you believe Finviz, to be fair. Promo, you and Wendy are long Target. I don't think that's the worst idea. It's put it this way, Promo. I don't think you and Wendy would be doing this if it had the same valuation as Walmart. The fact that it's 13 times forward PE and it's gotten beaten up for having rainbows, I think that plays into it, right? I remember my first day in Texas for my internship. This was a while back. That very first day, I had to go buy a few things at the local Walmart, and this is Beaumont, Texas. Okay, not the most beautiful place in the world, But I remember I'm there and I'm ordering something and I said something to the cashier and I heard this kid behind me go, "Hey Ma, he sure do sound funny," with this like wild accent, this some crazy ass half Cajun, half like stereotypical Texas accent. It's the fucking wildest thing. Fuck. Mo says, "Where the fuck is Beaumont, Texas?" Beaumont, Texas, about 20 miles from the border to Louisiana. It's the southeast corner of Texas, right along the coastline. So we have like Port Arthur, they call Port Awful. It's a big hub for a lot of the energy sector. You basically petrochemical alleys between like Beaumont, Port Arthur, into Houston, and like Texas City on the coastline. So you have just all these different chemical plant refineries. You know, you can see distillation towers as far as the eye can see. Do they still call it Petrochemical Alley? I know they have Cancer Alley. I don't know. That's Louisiana though. Yeah, Beaumont is wild. Mo, is that where the dumb tomatoes? Yes, the dumb tomatoes were growing right there in the plant. Let's see if they actually do the real view. Oh, I think they do. Here's Beaumont. What's important to note here is in the upper right corner, you can't really see it well, but that's oil refinery. It's like oil refinery chemical plant. Beaumont, actually, if I remember correctly, this is where they first found oil in Texas. Yeah. Caffeine, what are we looking forward to towards earnings? Earnings today suck. Literally, none of these these are all nobodies. Has Suncor reported? Right? Who cares? It's Canadian. No, the real problem, by the way, Suncor is an interesting company. I think the bigger issue is it's oil sands. If the world ever really starts giving a shit about carbon emissions, thermal coal and oil sands are at risk. I do know Suncor is more than just that, by the way. The Majestics, you're getting sent to Texas for a work project? Ooh, what part of Texas? Dallas area, Austin area, Houston area. It's one of those three usually. Glup says, applied materials could be interesting. They should beat. Lamb beat, KLA beat. Like, it shouldn't be a shock. South of Austin. Nice. Okay. Mo, the drive-through daiquiri place? Yeah, it does. Has 4.8 stars. The promo. No, the bigger issue is that it manages to kill workers, have high costs, and generally fuck up operations somehow. Yep. Is it one of their facilities still on fire? Yeah, C&Q is the one that you and ChemLife. Yeah, I still have ChemLife. C&Q is the one stock that I can look at my orders page, and I always know how much it costs. Because I have an order in to buy one share at $52, and it shows me right now it's trading for $61.76. Yeah, I should have listened to you. NVTA, that's a company that is reporting Navitas. Or Invite, whatever, sorry. Hold on, is that correct? I thought it was NVTS, right? Yeah, Navitas. This is a semiconductor company. Supposedly. What do they make again? Yeah, gallium nitride. Also does silicon carbide. Interesting. Designs, develops, and markets. So this is apparently a fabless semiconductor, I assume. He owns some oil sands companies, but also a carbon capture ETF. That's net zero to me. Yeah. So this is a GaN semiconductor company. It looks like it's a fabless. Seems to be doing well. It says a design, develop, and market gallium nitride power integrated circuit, silicon carbide, associated high-speed silicon system controllers, and digital isolators used in power conversion and charging. Yeah. Buffett's 13F is out? Okay, let's see that. That we're interested in. This whole week, by the way, where possible, we're going to look at 13Fs. Druckenmiller. His Q2 13F is up. Top 5 positions: NVIDIA, Coupang, Microsoft, Eli Lilly, Lamb & Weston. Buffett maintained Apple, Amazon. Wait, he owned Amazon? Is that new? Hey, someone say money. You around? We knew Buffett added Oxy. I think we already knew that one, though. Because every time he basically buys more, since he owns over 5% of the company, he has to report. So I think we already knew that. Wait, Buffett, Amazon? Druck bought NVIDIA. The way I'm seeing it, this is Druck's. It looks like he bought an additional 158,000 shares. He sold some. Here we go. I'm back. I'm back. I don't see Berkshire with Amazon at all, by the way. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Yeah, he apparently had an Amazon position I didn't even know about. All right. Cucked by the Druck. Yep. But yeah, it looks like Druckenmiller added more NVIDIA. That's interesting. Berkshire also says they sold some of GM. Who added Intel? I'm sure someone did. Intel would not be a bad ad for some of these companies. Hey, Windy, you'll like this. Berkshire bought more Capital One Financial. Capital One Financial. Berkshire. Buffett. He still likes it. That makes sense. Blue Man, can I explain again how people are misinterpreting Burry's puts? Sure. So a lot of people are commenting on it. The big thing about Burry's position is it will show that he has $1.5 billion worth of puts between the Qs and the SPY. The problem is those are reported out in terms of notional value. So if you buy one call option right now on the SPY, say 450, all right, then it's, say it costs you $2 per share, okay? So you're spending $200 to get a notional value of $45,000. So people see $1.5 billion and they think, oh, he put down a 1.5 billion. No, he actually paid probably about 10 million. That's why. Bronze Legend, why do 13Fs list notionals? Because it lists out positions. They do it weird for options. It only shows up for options. That's why. My pleasure, Blue Man. It's a good question. A lot of people were misreading that this morning. Not here, of course, but I knew it was going to be something I'd reference a lot. My pleasure, Blue Man. Jay Corbett, he retweeted one of the tweets today. It looks like, by the way, Mo, he didn't change shit. Buffett didn't change shit on American Express. 10 large, no, it's really not. The home builders, that's the interesting thing. The home builders. When Ackman, ooh, is Ackman's position up? It's not. Either way, all week long, we're gonna get interesting 13Fs to come out. And this is a time it's particularly fun to kind of look through. Does the CFA curriculum include any discussion of notional exposures? Asking for all of FinTwit. Tim says, you can't think of a worse time to buy home builders except in 2008. Tell that to Warren Buffett. He clearly doesn't know something, right? Look at the impact of the disclosure, by the way. Look what it's done to Horton. This is one of the companies that Buffett added. Everyone thought housing was going to suck ass. If you bought back in October, you've almost doubled for one of the home builders. They're the only people selling houses. Anyway, folks, thank you for tuning in. I have to go through my settings tonight and see if I can figure out on my end if there's some kind of update required. But thank you very much for tuning in. Let's check out what our good friend Jay Jared's up to. promo. It does seem pretty late to be buying home builders. Again, Buffett seems to disagree, right? Anyway, thanks guys for tuning in. I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace.